Now, the next thing I would like to do, okay, is to then create my EMR cluster. Okay, what I want to do right now, guys, is to create my EMR cluster. Remember that what we are trying to do in this project is we want to automate this process. Okay, as want to automate this process. Okay, so now we want to create EMR cluster. So there is an operator called EMR create job flow operator. EMR create job flow operator. Let me take you right there, guys, to that documentation. I have it somewhere. Okay, very good. I will also provide you this documentation, okay, in my description. Okay, so if you come to this documentation, you can see create an EMR job right here. You can see that, guys, create an EMR job right here. So if you then come right here, if you come to create EMR job, you can see you say EMR create job flow operator. Okay, then you give it a task ID, and then you say job flow overrides. Then you are going to have this. So that means that we first of all need to go and define what job flow overrides is. Okay, let us understand what that is right here. So job flow overrides right here is basically just some nested dictionary right here, where you are specifying the name of your EMR, the release label of your EMR, the applications you want to install, the instances that you want, okay, in terms of the primary node and the core node and the task node, okay, and some other parameters that you want to put right here. Okay, now if you go to my previous video right here, guys, I took my time to explain to you what EMR is and how you can provision EMR. Okay, I encourage you, go also right there and just quickly take a look on what this is and how you can manually provision EMR, because at least this will help you to be able to understand what that is before you get into doing it manually. I mean, before you get into doing it automatically, right? Using automating it using Airflow. It's good for you to see it manually. Okay, so but what I can do for you guys right here is that let us come to EMR. I'll open this in a new tab. You can also search for it right here. Now you know how to do that. So if you come to create cluster, let's just assume I want to do it manually. I just want to show you something real quick. However, if you really want to see it in depth, go to this video right here, guys. Okay, so now if you look at this create cluster, if I click that, you can see that it's asking me that I should give it a name. Okay, and that is what this thing is talking about. You can see this first one, name. Okay, you say Amazon EMR release. A release contains a set of applications which can be installed on your cluster. Which one do you want to use? Okay, you can see that the latest one is 6.15.0, then you have 6.14, so you have to choose which one. Okay, like in my own case, when I worked on the project, I used 6.13. I think that was what was the latest one. Then I have not tried 15 and 14. I've tried 13, so we are going to pick 13 for today. Okay, so in that case, you can say, okay, you pick 13, and then you can say which applications do you want to get installed on your computer. Okay, like the last video that I did Spark, Jupyter Enterprise Gateway, because I needed this for my Jupyter notebook, which I showed in that video. You can see I use Jupyter notebook. Okay, so and then you can then come down right here and then select the instance group, talking about your primary node and your core node and your task node if you want to use task node. Okay, and then you come here and talk about virtual private cloud, your VPC. So in my previous video, I showed you how you can do that. In this video, I showed you how you can create VPC. We are also going to do that today. Okay, so we need to, our EMR needs to run in a particular VPC, and then we need to add steps. You can see saying use commands and scripts to tell your cluster where to find and how to process your data. So the steps are basically the different scripts, okay, or the different workflow of your EMR. What are the things you want your EMR to do? Maybe the first step is you want it to extract data from a particular source, and then maybe the next step is you want to do transformation. Then maybe the next step is you want it to do another transformation. Maybe the third step is you want it to do some loading to a database or something. That is what the steps is going to be, and then you can put the scripts or the commands which you want to run. All of that we are going to be doing today using Airflow to automate that process. Okay, and then if you want to terminate the cluster, you can set that right here. I showed you in that video and all of that. And also, one thing also you need to know is that the logs of your EMR needs to be saved somewhere. Okay, in this case, Amazon is, if I create this cluster, Amazon is going to create this S3 bucket for me automatically. Okay, but in the case of today's video, we are going to create our own S3 bucket or our own folder ourselves on our S3. Okay, and then we will specify that path in our Airflow so that when our Airflow runs, when it triggers the EMR, those logs can go directly into the folder that we have created. We don't want AWS to create it for us. Okay, now you can see how all these things are, and then we will need an EC2 right here which we can create. And I've also told you can create an you are going to create keep here, rather not EC2, keep here. Okay, I've showed you in that video how you can create keep here. Okay, and we are going to do that also in today's video. Okay, and then we are going to have a service role. I'm going to show you how you can create service role right there by automating the process. Okay, and then if you fill all these things manually, then you create cluster. I showed you all those in my previous video. What I just did right here is just to do a walkthrough for you, for especially those of you that have not watched that video, so that you understand better what I am doing when putting everything together in this .py file. Okay, so this job flow overrides, we are going to put that right here. I'm going to do a copy and paste right here for you guys. That way we don't have to be typing everything out. So I will just come right here. I can just come right here and just paste. Okay, now one thing I will just quickly mention is that this EMR create job flow operator, you can see right there, guys, that we have not imported it. Okay, so I would like to quickly import it, and for me to import it, I will just come right here. I will just import. By the way, let me do all these imports right here at once, so that you can easily, we don't have to be doing them one after the other. Okay, we are going to be needing Boto3, so we are importing Boto3. So I'm also importing EMR create job flow operator from this right here. Okay, we are importing it. Okay, we are also going to be talking about these operators later. Okay, stay tuned, guys. Okay, so now we have imported this, and that is what I just showed you right here. But then we need this job flow overrides, which I have also put right here. Okay, so this is nested dictionary. You can see it is closed. Now what we are going to be doing is we are going to be giving this a name. This is the name I want to give it. Remember, I just showed you that you could do it manually, which was what I did in my previous video. But in today's video, we are going to automate the process. Okay, so the release label, this is the release label. Okay, the applications I want to install, Then I'm saying these are the two applications I want to install, this and this. Okay, actually in this video I don't really need this, but I just wanted to put it so that you guys can see that you can put 1, 2, 3, 4 more applications right there that you want to be installed in your provisioned cluster. Okay, and another thing also is that what is the URL, URI of the S3 bucket where you want to save the logs of your EMR. So this is what we want to do. Remember that we had the S3 bucket we created before, but we need to create this folder. So let me go back to my S3 bucket. Let me go to my S3 bucket right here and create a folder. I'll give it this name, EMR logs-YML, because we don't want AWS to create it for us. I want everything to be in this folder. Okay, and that is why I gave it that. So you give it this path. Okay, and then visible to all users, I'm putting out as false. So let me take you to the documentation for that. Again, I'm doing this so you guys can really understand what we are talking about right here, guys. So let us look for that. I saw it somewhere. Okay, look at visible to all users. It says EMR clusters launched with the EMR API like this one are not visible to all users by default. So you may not see the cluster in the EMR management console. You can change this by adding visible to all users to be true. Okay, so in my own case, I don't want it to be visible to all users. I put it as false. Okay, I hope you guys are getting this now. Very good. Now the next thing is I want to have my instances. Okay, in the case of this, I want to just have one master node and 2 core node. Okay, so depending on what you are trying to do, let's say you want to have a task node, you just need to add another dictionary. You can see this is one dictionary for master node, another dictionary for core node. Okay, if you want to put a task node, just put another dictionary after this, right? So that so that everything can be inside this list. Okay, that's element 1 in the list, element 2 in the list, then you have element 3 in the list. Okay, so I have master node. You can give it whatever name you want to give it. Okay, then the market, I will say on demand. Okay, that is what I want. If you want spot instance, then you can choose that. Then what is the instance role? I say master. Instance type, I say m5.x large. That's the same thing I want for this. And then I'm saying my master is 1 node, and then my core node, I want 2 instance counts. Okay, very good. You can see that, guys. Then one thing also is that I will just say I need to create a VPC right here, guys. I need to create a VPC. So guys, if you look at this, you see that it says EC2 subnet ID. Remember I told you that the EMR is going to run inside inside the VPC, right? So we need to put EC2 subnet ID also right here. So what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to quickly show you how we can create a VPC, and then we'll take one of the created VPC subnet and then put it right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is that I am going to go to right here, and then I'm going to type VPC. I'm going to type VPC, and then I will open right here. Okay, now I'm in the VPC console, and then I will say create VPC. Okay, you see VPC and more. I will be right here, and then I will give my VPC a name. Okay, as I complete this step, you see that this is going to be automatically updating. Okay, so you can see that it says project-VPC. So if I give it a name now, you can see this change to redfin EMR Airflow-VPC. Okay, and then every other thing will be the same. Number of availability zones, I can say 2. Number of public subnet, I can say 2. Number of private subnet, I can say 0. Just click 0 so that it changes to gray. And then then make sure that your VPC endpoint is S3 gateway. Everything should be good. Then I will say create VPC. You can see now it's creating the VPC for me. Okay, you can see that, guys. I will not close this. Okay, if you come back to this, you have the EC2 subnet. Okay, what I will just do is I will just, I have 2 subnets right here, so I can just say take one of them. Okay, I'll just take the first one, so I will just come right here, and then I will just put this right here. Okay, let me delete this comments. Okay, and then EC2 key name. Okay, EC2 key name for this EMR. What I'm going to do right here for this EMR is I will come right here. Okay, and then I will type in key pair, key pairs, and then you come right here, open a new tab. So I want to create a key pair. Okay, so what I can do is that I can say create key pair. I'll just say create key pair, and then I can give it a name. I can say EMR key pair Airflow. Okay, EMR key pair Airflow. Just put it that way. Let me copy it so that we can have that. Okay, or maybe okay, yeah, that should be fine. And then I'll say .pem file. I'll choose .pem format. Okay, and then I'll just say create key pair. You can see that immediately we did that. It downloaded a .pem file for us. Okay, I'll just leave that in my downloads folder. That's fine. And then you can see that this is our EMR key pair folder we just created. So I can just come right here, and then let me change the name to what we just created. Okay, then the next one says keep job flow alive when no steps. Keep job flow alive when no steps. I put it to be true. What is the meaning of that? Let us go back to our documentation and understand what that means. Okay, it says here we create an EMR single node cluster. This, okay, it's just explaining what they did right here in this documentation. But see what it's saying right here. It says the config keep job flow alive when no steps false tells the cluster to shut down after the step is finished. So what this means is that after that a particular step finishes, then you are saying that the cluster should shut down. Okay, you can see the config this false tells the cluster to shut down after the step is finished, right? But in our own case, we don't want that. We want the step to move after one step finishes. We want it to go to the next step. After that one finishes, go to the next step. After that one finishes, go to the next step. Okay, we don't want the cluster to shut down after a particular step has finished. Okay, so in that case, we will come here and then we will say true. We will leave it as true. Okay, keep job flow alive. Okay, then termination protected, I will say false. Okay, so that means setting this as false will allow us to programmatically terminate the cluster because we want to terminate it ourselves. Okay, now this last one that says job flow role and service role. Okay, if you have not used EMR on your AWS account before, that means you probably do not have this default role. You can check if you have it. Now, how do we check if we have it? Okay, what we are going to do right here is let us go back to our terminal. Let's go back to our terminal. Where is that again? Okay, I think we have it right here. Okay, we have it. I can close this. I don't need this anymore. I can even close this one. But make sure that where you have your Airflow running, you have that opened. Okay, so I can open another terminal. Okay, where we can run some commands right now. Remember that this is our EC2, it is checked. So I will just say connect. I'll click connect, then I will say connect right here. When I click that, the terminal is open, then I can, let me close this, and then I can activate my virtual environment. Okay, I have activated it, and then now, like I said, let us make sure that this role is created. Okay, so if this is your first time that you are using AWS, or you have not even used EMR before or something, you want to check for the presence of this right here. If you have this default role, okay, let us check. One way that I can check is that I can just you know, come to my IAM. You can type IAM right here. I can do this, maybe go to IAM, and then I can go to roles, and then maybe just look for that role right here. If I have those roles, you can see that I don't have them right here. Okay, another way we can do it programmatically now is that let's come to our terminal right here and run this code, this command, which I will give to you in my description. Okay, or you see it in my GitHub, because the code we are going to be using in today's video, I'm going to be pushing them to my GitHub. Okay, so I'll give you access to that. So now if you run this command right here, so you want to check if these roles are in your AWS account. So if I do enter, you can see this did not return anything for me, right? Because I want it to list my rows and then be able to check if I have these rows right there. But you can see right here, that we don't have that. We also checked right here, we also don't see it, right? So what we can do right now is that we can, for us to have those rows, you can run this code. You can run this code right here. I will copy and paste. AWS EMR create default rows. Now it is run. It's going to run right now. Give it a few seconds. Now you can see it has run. You can see that it has saved all of this. Now we have this role in our AWS account right now. Okay, very good, very good. Let's see what happens if we run this again. Now you can see when we run this IAM list rows, you can now see that now it shows us that we have this role now. That's because we have now used the AWS command to run this. And remember that we installed the AWS CLI the last time, right? And that is what all these commands are all about. These are AWS commands. Okay, very good. Now that we have that, okay, so that means just copy and paste those right here. Okay, now I have gotten that. So now what that means is that now I have my task ID and I have my job flow overrides. So I have been able to put all the different commands that my Airflow needs to run to create my EMR cluster. Okay, I hope you guys get that now. Now that we have been able to do this, let us save this. Very good. Now we have saved it. If we go to our Airflow UI, okay, and then we can begin to refresh, and then we should be able to see the number of DAGs here increase to 49. Okay, but usually this is going to take about 3 to 5 minutes from after we saved it, because this was the first time that we saved it. We just saved it now, right? So it's going to take some time, 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to pause this video and come back after it has reflected. You can see that there is an auto refresh that is happening right here. You can also refresh it yourself right here. You see I refreshed, but it is still 48. So it's going to take some few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll come back after we have been able to have that right there. However, guys, if you are new on this channel, go ahead right now, if you have not subscribed, to subscribe to our channel. If you are finding this video valuable, go ahead right now and click that like button and share this video, and also put your comment in the comment section below. All these will help us to be more motivated to create more videos for you guys. All right, guys, I'll see you in few minutes when our DAG is populated right here. Very good, guys. Now I have refreshed my UI, and you can see now I have 49 DAGs. Very good. If there is an error, you should be seeing something in red font right here showing you error. So you just take a look at that, see what the error is, and fix it. You might maybe have some typo error and all of that, or syntax error. Spend some time, take a look at it, and try to fix the error. Okay, in my own case, I don't have any error. I just need to go down and look for the DAG that I just created. And if you remember, this is our DAG ID right here. So I will click this. Very good. Now you can see, if I come to graph, you can see now I have those two tasks right here. However, I need to go right here and put the dependencies. Okay, so I will say this is the first variable. This needs to run. I'll paste the copy and paste right there, and then I will say this is the next one. So, and then I will save it. So what this means is that start my pipeline and then create my EMR cluster. Okay, I have saved it. I will just come right here and refresh this. Very good. Now you can see that we are going to be starting the pipeline and then creating the EMR cluster. So I want us to run this first and see if this is working. If this is working, then we'll let it create the EMR cluster, and then we will, while this continues to run, we will then be working on the other task. Okay, we'll then be working on the other task. Okay, very good. Let us see what we can do right here. This is our execute button or trigger button. Let us trigger it. But before that, let us come to my EMR page. Okay, let me go to EMR, my Amazon. Let me go to my Amazon EMR page. You can see all my clusters. I do not have any cluster running. You can see that all the clusters that I had already terminated them. Okay, so what happens right here is that when we trigger our DAG right here, is going to create an EMR cluster, and when it creates an EMR cluster, we should see another cluster right here with its own unique cluster ID. Okay, so let us come here and trigger, guys. Click that. You can see something right here. You can see if I click inside here, inside this button, you can see this first one is a success. This second one is also a success. If you click inside here, see what, and then you go to logs, and then see everything that is happening right here. There is no way to zoom this bigger. Let me see. Okay, I can zoom it, and then you can see that it found the credentials that we have in that AWS credentials. Okay, remember that we did the AWS configure command, right? And then we put our secret key, access key. So now, because of that, it's able to have access to our AWS account. Okay, and then it has triggered that. So if we go to our EMR now, our EMR cluster page, if I refresh, see what is going to happen. You should be able to see a cluster that is springing up, or that is spinning up. So let us refresh. Oh, this is terminated with error. Okay, I think there was a problem. Terminated with error. What's caused that. Let us see. If it says terminated with errors, let us click this. Let me refresh. Terminated with errors. Let us click this. What could have been the problem? So if we go to our S3 bucket, let's go to our S3 bucket, EMR logs. Let us refresh if we get any logs right here. Okay, we don't get any logs here. I think because it has not even created that. Okay, it has not even created the EMR. But let us come right here. Let us click this if we are going to see anything that caused it. So let's click that. Let's come right here. It says internal error. It says some cluster properties failed to load. Okay, let us see. Let's click the, I don't think, let's see if this has something for us. Yeah, it doesn't have anything here because that was what we tried before. Let us interpret contact AWS. Oh, it says the subnet ID, subnet this does not exist. Okay, it says it does not exist. Let us see what is happening. The subnet ID this does not exist. I remember we created the VPC. Let us come right here. Create subnets. This one, this was what we created. FAB3. 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 Let's see. Let's come right here. FAB3. Okay. FAB3. Say the subnet ID does not exist. It says the subnet ID does not exist, but we created it. Let's see, this is it, right? Oh, if you take a look at this, you can see that we created this in North Virginia. Yeah, we should have created it in US West because we are running our EMR in US West, right? So that is the problem, guys. That is the problem. So let us create our VPC again, guys. Let us create our VPC again. Okay, so what I can do is I can come right here to your VPC. Okay, now you can see, guys, that's how we are going to be having issues, and then we are going to be looking for ways to fix our issues. Okay, that is bound to happen. Okay, and that is why we are in development mode, right? It is not in production yet. So if I come to VPC, right, I have two VPCs. If I do this, and this is the one we just created. Okay, this is the one we just created. Okay, another thing also is that if I click on this one, you can see my subnet. It says subnet is US-East. You can see, but we are supposed to have it in US-West. Okay, so I don't need this. Let me just delete this. I will say delete VPC. Then I will just type delete. Okay, I'm deleting right now. We'll create another one. Sorry about that, guys. That is how it happens in the real world. You understand? So I will say create VPC. So my VPC right now, let's make sure that we are in the region we want. So I'll say US West. I'll say US West. You see, I changed to US West. Then I'll say create VPC. Okay, remember, take note. Make sure you are in the region you want. Okay, that was the problem I had. And then I will make sure I'm in VPC and more. Okay, and then I'll put the VPC name. Okay, it shouldn't be difficult. Then I'll say availability zone 2, public subnet 2, private subnet, I say 0, and then S3 gateway, and then I click create VPC. It should be able to work now, guys. Stay tuned. And then I can just copy. Let me just copy this. Yeah, I think 5006, this is it right here also. So let's just copy that, but you could also just copy it from here. So I basically made a mistake by clicking this, that's why I came to this tab, but then you can just copy it from here. Okay, that's fine. So just copy that, and then let's come back right here and then paste this. I think it should run now, because now we have our subnet in US West. Our EC2 also is in US West and US West -2, and our EMR also is in US West -2. So everything is US West -2. So we should be able to run it now. Okay, let us see what's going to happen. Let me refresh this, and then if you want to check if your code, if what you updated in your code has propagated through, just come to code, here, and then just come right here. You can see 5006. You can see 5006. Okay, so very good. So I can come back to my graph, and I can then come right here and trigger again, trigger, and then I can click this box, come to graph. You see that this is success. This also is success. It has triggered. Okay, now that it's triggered, let us go to our EMR cluster. Let's go back to our clusters. Let's go back to our clusters, and then let us it says terminated error again. Let us refresh. Let us see what is happening, guys. Let us click this. What is going on? Let us click. Let us go and check what's going on. Let me say this. Let me have this. Click this. Let me come back down. Updated was the error, validation error. Let's see where we can get some information. We may not be able to get any information in this S3, no, because it has not created that yet for us. Let's see. Okay, let's try to run it again. Not sure yet what's going on. Okay, let us come right here. Let's see. Yeah, this one says a success, so we should not be seeing any issue right here because this triggered it. But yeah, let's trigger again. Let's trigger again. There might be something else that is happening that we are not seeing yet. It says terminating, validation error. All right, guys, one thing that I'm also suspecting is our EC2 key pair. Let us take a look at our EC2 key pair. Let us see if that also has something to do with our validation error. So let us come to our key pair right here. Okay, our key pair right here. Yeah, it seems this also is in North Virginia. Let me change this to US West. Okay, let me change it to US West. Yeah, guys, you see that these are one of the reasons why we need to always check our everything we are doing very well, making sure they are in the right region. Okay, what name did we give it before? Let me see. We gave it EMR Airflow. Okay, I will keep this the same, but let us take this to US West. Okay, US West, and let us do a create key pair. That might be the problem right there, guys. Then let us do .pem. Okay, these are bound to happen even in the real world, but we just have to we just have to, you know, debug and see what we can do to fix it. Okay, so now we have it right here. Now let us see what's going to happen right now, because remember that our our EC2 key name, this is the name we gave it, but it wasn't seeing it inside our key pair in US West. That might be the reason why it's not validating. Let us check. You know, these are good problems to have. As a matter of fact, it's also helping every one of us to also learn. Now you can begin to see the kind of problems you can be having whenever you are building a project, and you just have to calm down and see how you can resolve it. Let us see if we have resolved it. If we have not, then we still have to resolve it. That means that we are in our troubleshooting mode. Okay, so let us execute again. You can see if I come right here before I execute, you see we have this. If I refresh, we have 3 that are terminated. Okay, let us execute again. Just execute. I'll click this little square, go to graph. Okay, now it has triggered EMR. Let us see if it was a success indeed. Okay, now let us come right here and refresh. Very good, guys, very good. At last, guys, we are able to get this going. Now you can see that this is in the starting mode. You can see it is in the starting mode. Okay, now it means that we have everything working. Our VPC is in the US West 2 region, and also our EC2 has been created in the US West 2 region. You can begin to see how you can fix bugs or how you can fix problem. Okay, guys, if you are new on this channel, go ahead right now and click on that subscribe button, and also make sure you click on the like button, and also help to share these videos. You know, comment also in the comment section, you know, and also you can also request what videos you would like us to also make for you. Very good, guys. This is starting right here, guys, and this is going to take about 8 minutes or so, 8 to 10 or 11 minutes for it to eventually, you know, get completed. Okay, but one thing you will ask yourself is that when you have this type of workflow and you have triggered it, right, it has successfully triggered, but how do you know if the Airflow has completely been provisioned? Was there any error? What was the state after some few minutes, right? These are the things that we are going to be seeing next now when we are building the next task. Okay, but what I want us to do right now, guys, is that we will let this to continue to run while we are building our next set of tasks, and then we will run this DAG again. We'll run our workflow again. Okay, so let this continue to run. If I refresh, you'll see that this is still in starting mode. Okay, it's still starting. It's going to take up to like 10-11 minutes or so. Okay, very good, guys. I hope you guys are getting this project, you are understanding this, and you are having fun. Okay, take note, debugging is part of the learning right here. Okay, very good, guys. Now the next thing we would like to do is that, what about if we want to check if our EMR has been successfully created? If we want to check that, then we are going to be using what we call EMR job flow sensor. I'm going to copy and paste that right here. Okay, EMR job flow sensor, this is it right here. Okay, and then we need to make an import. I've told you in my previous videos what sensors are. This is going to be helping us to check if that EMR has been created. It's going to be checking the status of this EMR. Right now this EMR is in the starting state. Okay, by the time it gets to the waiting state, is going to let us know that now it is in the waiting state. Then we can proceed to the next task. Okay, so now what we are going to do is that we are going to import EMR job flow sensor. Okay, we are going to import it from here. Okay, and then we are creating a task right here. Okay, task ID, I'm giving it a task ID. I'm also giving it a variable right here. Now there is a job flow ID. Let me show you this in the documentation, guys. If I come to EMR job flow sensor, you can see there is a documentation by these guys, astronomer. You know, this is very good. Okay, you can have your job flow ID, the target state. What state are you trying to monitor? Are you trying to sense? You can see that it says sensor waits until job flow reaches any of these states. That is the state that with which you have, you know, you have put right here. Okay, in this argument right here, and you can play with these different things. Okay, you can put the poke interval. Okay, the timeout. After how many seconds or hours or minutes do you want that task to time out if it doesn't see anything happening? What mode do you want to use? You want to use poke mode or reschedule mode? The default is poke mode, and that's what we are going to be using. Okay, and the AWS connection ID. In the case of today's project, we will not be using AWS connection ID because we already did AWS configure, okay, on our EC2. So our EC2 already have access to our AWS. Okay, very good. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to continue to poke the our AWS to check the states of our AWS. Right now it is still in the starting state. Okay, so now let us come right here. Now the question you ask yourself is, how will Airflow know which EMR to be monitoring? So what happens is that when this EMR got created, there is a job flow ID that also got created. If I come right here, you can see this is the job flow ID. If I click this, you can see I have this cluster ID. You can also get this cluster ID if you come to this UI. If you come to XComs, I've explained what XComs is in my previous video. You can see that this is the return value, right? If we come back to this EMR, you can see it is the last 4 characters is EF1F. You can see EF1F. That means that when we triggered that task to create that EMR, there is a cluster ID that was returned right here. Okay, the key is return value. The value is this cluster ID. So let us grab this value. Okay, that this is the value of the cluster ID which is running right now. Okay, which is running right now, this one. Okay, which is still in starting status. So we are going to come right here and we are going to use Ginger templating. Okay, I've also explained this in my previous videos what it is. So we are going to use this command, task instance dot scompool, and then you put your task ID. Which task ID are you trying to get the return value? We are trying to get the return value of this task ID, because if you look at this is the task ID right here. This task ID is this one. I'm trying to get what is the return value, what is the value that this task returns. And you and I, we just confirmed right now from here that what it returned is this cluster ID. This is the job flow ID. Okay, so in that case, that value is going to be passed inside this job flow ID, and then my target state, I'm going to put it inside this curly bracket. So I want to specify the desired state that I want this sensor to be monitoring. So I want it that after it changes, after my EMR right here, the status changes to waiting, I want it to stop. That means I want it to be a success. Okay, I want it to be a success. Okay, and then the timeout. That means that if my EMR doesn't get to this status in 3600 seconds, and then this is going to time out. Okay, Then the poke interval, I want it to be poking every 5 seconds, to be checking every 5 seconds. If you want, you can do it every 20 seconds. Since we know that EMR cluster is going to be provisioned in say 10 or 11 or 12 minutes, so that means you may not need to do it every 5 seconds. But because I want to show you what's going on, I will just put it in 5 seconds so that you can quickly see it instead of waiting for too long. Okay, so you can specify the desired state. You can say waiting or whatever state that you want. Then mode, the mode, I want it to be poke mode, right? Even though poke is the default, but I want to put it here so that you guys can see it. Okay, so now I will set this dependency right here. Very good, guys, very good. Now that we have created the job flow sensor, the next thing we would like to create is to extract our redfin data. Okay, we want that task that will help us to extract our redfin data. Okay, now how do we do that? And that is where we need to start adding steps. Okay, adding steps. So the first step we are going to add right here is the extraction step, where we are going to extract our data from redfin data center. Okay, now what we are going to do right here is that we are going to use the EMR add steps operator, which we have also provisioned right here. Okay, after we add all these steps, and we are going to run this DAG once again. We're going to see everything from end to end. Okay, so this is the step, EMR add steps. We want to add the steps, and the first step we want to add is the extraction step. That's why I called it add extraction step. Okay, I give it a task ID. Okay, now which cluster do you want to add the extraction step? That is the same cluster we just created. Basically, the cluster that is created by this task is what we want to create the steps. Okay, so I will then use scompo. The task ID is this task ID for this one, then the return value is this. Okay, and then there is something we call steps. There are steps, you need to pass an argument to it that will tell us what we need to do. So we call it Spark steps. I give it this name, Spark steps extraction. So I will put that right here now for you guys to see, and then I will take you to the documentation. Okay, I hope you guys are getting it. I know there is a lot of stuff right here, but trust me, it's worth it, and we are going to get it right. Okay, so look at this. I call this Spark steps extraction. Let me take you to documentation so that you can see Spark step extraction. Spark step. Okay, let us come right here. Add steps to an EMR job. You can see these are the arguments that you need to pass. Okay, for this one I don't need this right now because I already have access to my AWS through the AWS configure. So you can see steps. It says Spark steps. Okay, if you go to Spark steps, what is Spark steps? This is an example of Spark steps. Okay, I can in this list I can have multiple steps together in one list, but in this case I want to break it down. Okay, I want to have extraction step and transformation steps separate. So you just need to include, you just need to put what action on failure do you want it to continue or you want it to wait, what is the name of this step, okay, and what command do you want to run, and what is the argument. Okay, so I will show you right now in my code. So guys, so I am giving this extraction step this name, extract redfin data. Okay, what is the action on failure? I will call it cancel and wait. Okay, and then what is the jar file that I want it to run? Okay, now AWS has provided us this script runner.jar file. Okay, the only thing, so we are going to use this path exactly the way it is. The only thing you are going to change is this right here. So you need to specify the region. that you are running. So in my own case, I'm running on US-West-2. So in your own case, put your region right there. If it is not Virginia, put the region for that right here. Okay, what is this script runner.jar? Let me take you to this documentation right here, guys, because this way you really understand what's going on. Okay, so you see this script runner.jar. I will give you the link to this right in the description below. It said this is hosted on Amazon S3 at this. You can see where region is the region in which your Amazon EMR cluster resides. You can see in my own case, it is US West 2. You can use script runner jar to run scripts saved locally or on Amazon S3 on your cluster. You can see that now. So in my own case, I'm going to be putting a script on my S3 bucket, and I want to run that script. For me to run that script, Amazon has provided something, a .jar file that will help me to be able to run that script. Okay, it says you must specify the full URI of script runner jar when you submit a step. So we need to put this complete path, okay, which is what I have done here for you guys. I hope you are getting it now. Okay, and then the next argument is going to be the path where I am going to put the script to run. Okay, so remember that we have our S3 bucket. We created a folder which is script, so I need to put this file right here, ingest.sh. okay, so I'm going to create that right now. Okay, let me open a notepad right here, and then I'll do a copy and paste for you guys. Okay, so this is, let me make it bigger. So what I'm doing right here is that I'm using a wget command right here. Okay, and what this is doing right here is that, and by the way, I also explained this in my video right here. Okay, let me see if we have the link to the Redfin center. Okay, this is the Redfin center. This is the Redfin center. If you want to download the data, if you come to this link, I will give you that link in the description below. If you come to how it works, so in this case, we are going to be looking at city level data set. So all you have to do is right click this and do copy link address. If you copy this link address, let's say you paste it on your notepad, you can see this is the link address, and this is the link that I put right here, this link right here. You can see that. So I'm using wget command to extract, to go to this link, to download this .gz file. Okay, and then I'm copying using AWS command to copy that inside this S3 bucket, this folder. You can see that this raw data folder, and then we are giving it this name, city_market_tracker.this file. You see, I'm giving it this exact same name that they gave it on their own website as well. So I'm going to just close that. Okay, I'm going to delete that rather. So what you can do is go to file and then do save as. When you do save as, so save this as ingest.sh, ingest.sh, save it somewhere on your computer. Okay, and then drag it into your S3 bucket. I will show you that right now. If you go back to my own S3 buckets, remember we have scripts, right here, and then in my own case I have my what is it called? So in my own case I have my ingest.sh file. Okay, so like I said, on this notepad, just do save as. okay, and then save it as ingest.sh. So just come right here, okay, and just do ingest.sh. Okay, so in my own case, I already have it, so I will just drag it to my S3 bucket. So let me drag it right here. Okay, you can also do upload or drag it inside that script folder, and then I'll say upload. Now you can see that now I have what? Ingest.sh. So this ingest.sh, what it just doing is that is running a wget command, okay, that will go to this website, okay, for Redfin, download that .gz file, and then copy it inside this my folder on my S3 bucket, and then giving it this name. Okay, very good, guys. I hope you guys get that now. Okay, so I will delete this. I don't need that. I already have this ingest.sh. Okay, now let me come back right here. So this is what is going to run that for us. Okay, so that is the first, that is that step of extraction. Okay, so I will just come right here. I'll put the dependency right there, add extraction step. Okay, very good, guys. I hope you guys are getting this now. Now, after we trigger the extraction step, how do we know if that extraction step has been completed? Okay, that in that case, we will then use what we call EMR step sensor. I'll put that right here as well, and then I'll give it a variable name called is extraction completed. Okay, so you see now, guys, I'm trying to just build all our tasks right now so that we can then run everything at once, and then we'll see how that works. Okay, so now we want to check if that our extraction step is completed. You need to import EMR step sensor. If you come right here, we have already imported that right here. Okay, very good. And then we can just add it in our dependency right here. Okay, now what is this doing? We are giving is this task ID. Then we want to tell Airflow which job flow ID are we talking about. So take note, it's going to be the job flow ID that is created by this task. Okay, and that is why we are using this command again. Okay, we already learned that. Another thing then also is that you need to define your step ID. Which step ID are you trying to sense? Okay, remember that this is our extraction step, and we want to check if this extraction step has been completed. Okay, so we will now put this into this Ginger template. I will say task instance xcom_pool. Then the task ID we are trying to monitor here is this one right here. Okay, and the way the result comes out is that it comes out, the way the step ID comes out is it comes out in a list. Okay, when we get there also, I will show you. Okay, so it's going to be in a list, but the lists, the first one is what we need. Usually, it depends on how many steps you add in this particular task right here. Let's say we add so many steps to this Spark step, then we can have the list to have different, maybe index 0, index 1, index 2, depending on the number of steps. But because here we are only dealing with one step right here, because if you remember in my extraction step right here, I only have just one thing right here. Okay, and that's why it's just going to be 0 right here. That's the first index. Okay, and what are we trying to monitor? We are trying to monitor for completeness, if this has been completed. Okay, now one thing I also like to tell you guys is that when you are typing this state right here, make sure it is in uppercase, because I also ran into some issues previously whereby I wrote this in lowercase, or maybe you say C is uppercase and others lowercase. It will not work. because it wants it to be uppercase. Okay, take note of that. Then I set my timeout, then I set my poke interval. Okay, so this will help us to monitor this EMR add steps operator. Okay, it's going to tell us if this extraction step has been completed, and this extraction step is going to be running these scripts that we are putting right here, this ingest.sh. okay, that's our wget command. Okay, very good, guys. Now that we have gotten that, okay, the next thing we would like to add, remember in our architecture, remember that we have all this already. Okay, we have added the extraction step, we have checked if the extraction step is completed, we have added that. Now we want to add another step, which is the transformation step. Okay, let me copy and paste that one right now. Okay, make sure your syntax is correct, your indentation and all of that, check that. Okay, now guys, you can see that we are beginning to build this right here, guys. If you are new on this channel, go ahead right now, guys, and subscribe to this channel and click on that like button. Okay, and also click on the bell to be notified whenever we release any of our videos. Also, don't forget to comment in the comment section below. Your comment and your like of our videos really means a lot to us, and this is also going to help us in terms of the YouTube algorithm, so that we can be ranked higher in the YouTube algorithms when folks are making their search. Okay, and also please share this with your colleagues, with your friends, with your teammates, and all of that. Okay, very good, guys. So one thing I should also show is the EMR step. I also have a documentation for that. This is add EMR step. Okay, you can see that if you want to add the EMR step. Also, if you want to do EMR step sensor, I'll give you this link. Go ahead and take a look and play around with some of those arguments or parameters right there. Okay, very good. So now we want to add the transformation step. So it's basically going to be the same approach like we did for extraction. Give it a task ID. Okay, in which cluster do you want to add this step? We are going to put that right here because it is the cluster that would be created from here. Remember that for each run of our DAG, we are going to be having a unique EMR cluster ID. Take note of that. Okay, very good. So now we are also then going to be talking about our step. Okay, so I will say Spark steps transformation. I gave it a different name, so I will then come right here and do a copy and paste. Okay, let me come right here, guys. I hope you guys are finding this valuable. So we are going to do basically the same thing. Give it a name, action on failure, cancel and wait. But in the case of this one, the jar we are going to be using right here is command runner jar. Okay, command runner jar. And what is that? Let me come right here. This same link I showed you before. Command runner jar, it says located on the Amazon EMR AMI for your cluster. You can use command runner jar to run commands on your cluster. You specify this without using its full path. You see that? And that is why I am just putting command runner.jar. Okay, and the argument you are going to be putting Spark submit, because we are submitting a Spark job right here. And then which .py file are we trying to run? This is what I am trying to run, which I am going to put in this script folder. Okay, very good. For those of you that have watched my previous video right here, so those code that we ran on our Jupyter notebook is basically that same code that we're going to be running today. So I am not going to be explaining that, so I encourage you to go and watch the video. Okay, but I will provide the .py file for you in my GitHub. Okay, I will provide that for you so you can download it from there and then put it in your S3 bucket. But what I'm going to do right now is I will just flash it for you right now. Okay, I'll flash it for you so that you can see it right here. You see, I just drag it to this screen. You can see what I'm doing. I'm making my import, creating my Spark session, and then creating a function that will do the transformation. Okay, and then I am putting the raw data S3 bucket, and then the transformation S3 bucket, and what name I want to give my final in my transformed data. In this case, I want to put it in package file, unlike this video right here where I put it in CSV file and then saved it in S3 bucket. For this particular one, I want to have it as package. Okay, so all this remains the same. I have the comments right there. They are easy to understand. And then finally, I will write it in this bucket that we just mentioned right here. Okay, and there's going to be redfin underscore data underscore package. Okay, I have explained all this code in my previous video, so please go ahead and check that out. And then we are going to call the function inside this script. Okay, so I'm going to drag this script inside that folder right there, inside this script folder in our S3 bucket, so that our Airflow knows where to pick it from and run those code. Okay, very good. So let us do that right now. I have it in my other screen. I'm going to drag it right now into this S3 bucket. So I will come right here, drag it, and then I will upload. Very good. This has uploaded. You can see we have that right here. Okay, and then let us come back right here. Okay, now we have added that, so that means that this step can run that code for us. Okay, very good. Because I don't have step right here, let me copy this and then go to the next line to continue our dependency. Okay, so this right here now, add transformation step. Let us bring it right here. You can see if you don't have space anymore after you have all this dependency, all you have to do is get the last task and then just put it right here, and then put the next one you want to follow it. Okay, very good. So before we continue, guys, let us go back to the EMR that we ran before. Remember, we ran this DAG before and we triggered EMR cluster creation. Let us see if that even got completed. Let's go right there, guys. EMR, this is saying starting. Let us refresh. If I refresh, very good, guys, very good. Now you can see right here, guys, that this is in the waiting state. So what that means is that, assuming we had already created all our tasks, take for example like all these tasks I was telling you about, assuming we had already created everything, what would have happened is that when we created this task, when we created this EMR in this task, okay, then this task right here is EMR cluster created. This is what is going to help us to tell us if we are in the waiting state. When we are in the waiting state, then this task is going to be marked as success, and then it moves to the next one. Okay, take note that whenever you are running this DAG, the EMR that is created here, we are going to grab the job flow ID right here, and then we are going to be monitoring it. Okay, we are going to try that shortly. Let us build all these tasks for now. However, before that, I can manually terminate this task. I'll just check this and then terminate this task. I'm just terminating right now, and then we are going to rerun everything again after we build all the tasks. Okay, now you can see right here, guys, that now that we have added this transformation step, we need to be able to monitor that task if it has completed or not. Okay, so what we can do is that we can add a sensor. So what I'm going to do is that I will call this sensor, I will say I will use the EMR step sensor, which we have already imported previously. I'll call it is transformation completed. So I'll give it this task. Okay, and then this is the job flow ID where our transformation step is going to, where it ran. And what is the step ID? Because when this step runs, when it runs, it's going to create a step ID, which is the same thing I was telling you about here. It's going to create this step ID, and then it's going to put that in our XCOM. Right? XCOM is cross communication. Okay, that means you are doing a cross communication between different tasks, and I've also explained that in my previous video. If you come to this video right here, I've explained that. Okay, now we are going to grab that step ID right here. So still the same strategy we talked about right here in this one, but just that in this case the task ID is going to be this transformation step task ID. Okay, and what are we trying to monitor? We are trying to monitor if that task ID, if that task is completed. Remember to put it in uppercase, and then you can specify your timeout and your poke interval. Okay,